Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers at the voice of college football. I'm here with my fantastic co host, Gabriel Pickup, and we have a fantastic show for you this evening. First, Gabriel's going to give us some really important updates, and then we're going to talk about player rankings for CFB 26. So, if you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. As always, we welcome your calls and comments. So, Gabe, let's go to another episode of Pick Updates. Take it away.
Absolutely. So before I start talking about football, I wanted to give a big shout out to Chris Gotterup. He is a Rutgers alum, and he just won the Genesis Scottish Open in golf. So fantastic news. He beat out Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and others, and can't wait to hear more about him moving forward. Great representative of the university.
Congratulations to him.
And also, one more personal note. A year ago today, I got a pain-in-the-ass dog named Penny. This is her gotcha day.
Where's Penny? Do you have is Penny around?
She's not around, but you'll definitely hear about her moving forward, especially because of how annoyingly loud her bark is, but I still love her. She's a little pipsqueak.
We have two dogs now. We have Penny and we have Rocky. Is that correct?
Correct. Absolutely. Excellent. And let's get into this news. There's two pieces of news. One is, I'm not downplaying the other one because it's tragic, but one is a little more headline grabbing than the other. So let's get into the juice, and then we'll worry about the other news following. But the juicy news, we got a new interim athletic director. Matthew Colagiovanni replaces interim athletic director Ryan Pisari, who was also himself serving as interim athletic director after Pat Hobbs had to step down due to health concerns. Obviously wishing Pat the best, but Pisari opted to leave for Tufts as a permanent athletic director, which I understand, right? Because one's giving you security and one's interim. Let me get into this, though, because I am a little frustrated with the news in general. Colagiovanni has been a Rutgers employee for... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, if you're frustrated, that means this must be major news.
Yeah, I think in itself, it sounds all fair and dandy, but once you really break down the elements, you realize that it's frustrating news. Colagiovanni has been a Rutgers employee for 24 years, currently serves as deputy athletic director to football, soccer, lacrosse, and men's and women's track and field programs and cross country. So, unfortunately, because he was hired as interim athletic director, it means he's clearly not earned the confidence of President Tate to serve as permanent replacement. And in a couple of weeks, Adam, we will have gone a year without a permanent athletic director at Rutgers University. So I'm pretty pissed about it. Now, I wrote a little monologue here because I wanted to get my thoughts down, and this is what I have. In professional sports organizations, going more than 2 weeks without finding a full-time replacement is considered unprofessional and a turnoff for free agents. Imagine how bad this looks. Not on our new interim athletic director, who has served diligently in Rutgers athletics for the better part of the entire century, but on our athletic programs as a whole, looking to establish a new culture of stability under new presidential leadership, and yet for almost a year now, we can't even find the pillar of our athletic programs. So I'm not pissed about Colagiovanni being hired or promoted, what have you. I'm pissed because we have no damn stability in the athletic programs, and it doesn't come down to players, and it sure as hell doesn't come down to President Tate, who's been there for a month, but it's just this culture that it seems like no matter how much we try to implement a new one, we can't get rid of the fact that we have no sense of stability or culture right now. So I'm pissed.
All right. Well, I love the monologue, and I'll just add, I don't know who Colagiovanni is. He sounds like Cologino from the movie Goodfellas, if you recall that from 1990. We wish him the best of success. Yes, he's an Italian. We love our Italians here in North Jersey. Hopefully, he's going to do a great job. So my question is this. In many organizations, you often see individuals promoted to interim positions, which tells me, well, we're going to promote you and put you in this position, but we really don't have that much faith in you, so you're going to be interim. And from the perspective of the person in that position, they know it's an inherently unstable and temporary position. And then usually what universities or football programs will do is they'll conduct a national search for someone to replace the interim director. But if the interim director, like Kalagiovanni, does a good job, what's the need for a search? So why isn't this more of like an audition for him and not necessarily, oh, this is temporary and that's set in stone?
Oh, I'm not saying that he is the problem at all. I think that he's been an employee with us pretty much my entire life. My issue, like I said, is the fact that we've almost reached a year now without a permanent athletic director. Our old one was caught up in scandals, and then the other guy, Pisari, I blinked out on his name for a second, leaves because he wants some stability. Who's to say that Kalagiovanni's not going to do the same? And also the fact that if he's getting promoted and his term starts July 19th, that means that he's probably going to be at interim for several months, if not a year. And, like I said, in professional sports, if you have a position that's vacant for even a month, even a couple of weeks, it looks really bad. And so that's why I'm pissed, not because of the hire itself, but like even President Tate, for example, he sent out an email and said in the press conference that he had some good news coming forward with a new AD. And then this morning he sends out an email about an interim. I'm speaking my heart, and unfortunately I'm speaking for a lot of Rutgers students and fans. It doesn't seem like anyone's very happy, not with the hire, but with the circumstance.
Yeah, and that was my point. I have no issue with Kalagiovanni. He's been there for 24 years. What I have an issue with is Rutgers. It's like, make a decision, okay? Stop with this, you're interim this. You see this at universities across the country often. You have an interim dean, or you have an interim provost. Well, make a damn decision. Is the person qualified for the job? Do you have faith in them? Then give them the position and give them your full confidence. Otherwise, they're stuck in this, limbo where they don't know if they're going to be staying, whether they're going to be going. And when the administration doesn't signal confidence in you and you're looking over your shoulder to think you're going to be replaced, it's understandably frustrating. And I understand why you're frustrated. It's like at some point, administrations, you have to make a decision and stick by it. Now, as far as President Tate goes, I'm not sure how he was involved in this bureaucratic decision-making, but I will say where he was the former president of LSU, congratulations to those Tigers for winning the College World Series.
Yeah, and, that's not the only college sport in LSU that was winning. They had the women's basketball going all the way. Football wasn't winning from 2019, but they were winning shortly before that, and they've always had a winning culture. I still have faith in President Tate. I just think this sort of translates from mainstream politics into almost like scholarly politics, right? Like you're saying one thing, another thing comes out. Maybe you're depending on something else to happen for it to be true, and it kind of doesn't happen.
Well,
so it looks bad on the president, even if it's not his fault. It still looks bad on him.
Part of the problem in organizations is something called bureaucratic inertia, where everybody's so afraid to make a decision, or everybody is so concerned about their own petty little issues that nobody can come to a common sense agreement. It's very different in the real world, okay, where efficiency is and expedited conduct is needed and rewarded. When you have bureaucratic inertia like that, what happens is you get a very mediocre result that really reflects kind of a compromise. Interim athletic director. Yeah. It's like one thing you look for in leadership is, number one, does a leader have values? Number two, do they have a plan on a mission? Number three, do they have a plan on how to get there and achieve it? Well, it starts with making decisions, and this doesn't seem like a decision to me. This seems more like a Band-Aid on a problem that isn't going away.
Band-Aid, and interims often are 3 to 6 month windows. Pisari was almost a year-long window, and he said, look, I'm stuck in a plateau here. I got to go, and I got to look out for myself and my family and find a position where I know I'm secure. And not only that, it's an upgrade because it's still an athletic director, but it's a permanent one instead of an interim. This hire to me, and specifically the title of the hire with that I word in between or beforehand, really suggests that we're going to have another 3 to 6 months, potentially waste another great year of football and another great roster. And we're going to not waste it in terms of win losses, because how much does that matter for win losses? But culture, spending, all of the business aspects of it, they're going to be stuck on safe mode, because if you're an interim, you're afraid of taking risks. You take one risk that your higher ups don't like, or board of trustees, and they say, "Look, you're interim, but you're gone now. We're going to get someone else." It's just a very frustrating situation.
Yeah, it really is. And that's very well said. And you just hit the nail on the head that relates to bureaucratic inertia. Fear. Everybody's afraid to make a decision. Nobody just makes any attempt to use common sense, and they get stuck in the weeds. What if this happens and that happens? And then you get this, paralysis by analysis, and that leads to interim athletic directors who basically aren't getting a message of confidence, don't know if they're going to be there, and are afraid to do anything that could upset the administration because they know they don't have their backing. And when you don't have the backing of the administration, you are 100% vulnerable, whether you are right or wrong, or whether the truth is on your side. Very sad.
Yes,
but I think your commentary is spot on and reflects what Rutgers fans think.
Yeah, my last point is Kalagiovanni's been here for 24 years now, and he's been working in athletics, in the Department of Athletics, for all 24 years. This is it. This is it for, is he going to be our athletic director, or is he going to pull a Pisari and see another opportunity and look out for himself? I mean, this is his last chance, or our last chance, to see him as athletic director. So hopefully he passes the interim test, because we could use some damn stability at that position. I mean, we're trying to build this, for football, Shiano culture. We got rid of the whole gymnastics culture because that was caught up in the old athletic director. And we're trying to turn the page to a new. So hopefully this hire turns into a permanent hire, because I think there's a chance, but who knows?
There's only one thing that matters in terms of an athletic director's success. Do your teams win? And that's the irony of it all. The athletic director is judged on things that he or she has no control over.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to look at what you have and what the outcome is, with Pisari, it's sad because it technically doesn't come down to him even in the slightest. But you look at that basketball program, and they had 2 of the top 3 recruits, and they were ranked top 10 nationally, and they didn't even have a winning record. These things matter. Well,
like we've talked about on many shows, the key for Rutgers is to build a culture, an old school culture that says the standard is a national championship. The standard is perfection. And every day you got to make the choices and decisions, the tough choices and decisions to do things when you don't want to do them, to make sure you're progressing towards that goal. It's called, as Nick Saban would say, the process. And you got to hold people accountable. The players have to hold themselves accountable. And they have to build a culture where, you're building not only better players, but better people that are going to go to the NFL or are going to lead better lives because they're at a prestigious institution like Rutgers. And this season is going to be very telling how far we've progressed. And hopefully the culture is taking hold, because we're getting recruits from around the country. So there seems to be some momentum behind that. But what we got to tell young people these days is, hard work, commitment, dedication, making the right choices. It's been that way for all of time. That's what leads to success. And the coaches got to be tough and hold them accountable, because if you care about your players and your culture, you're not there to be the nice guy. You're there to create a winning program that's going to finally compete in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I guess part of my frustration also came in the fact that, during the whole flip season after the spring portal, we had 3 guys leave, and we had nobody come via flip. We had the one Toledo guy. I think he was the Toledo running back come, but then he flipped back to Bama. Or no, I'm confusing. He didn't flip to Bama. He flipped Virginia Tech, I want to say. Yeah, I think Virginia Tech. So maybe that's part of the frustration
Right.
too. Is we're seeing guys abandon ship as soon as we're getting momentum, and then we make a move that's anti-stability. So I'll leave it at that because,
Well, you know,
like, yeah,
I don't want players who are going to commit, then decommit. I don't want players who are going to blame other people when they fail. I don't want players who are going to make excuses. I don't want players who are going to complain. I want players who are all in on Rutgers and all in on making themselves better players and better people. And it's really a very small percentage of people that have that kind of emotional intelligence and maturity to do that. And I think the ones who have decommitted, good riddance. We're building a core and a foundation of great players. And if they don't have those values, Rutgers doesn't have a future.
for sure. I'm not saying it's the end of the world that we lost these specific players. I'm saying if you play the numbers game, losing four 3+ star recruits after getting like 10 or 11, and not getting anyone, it's a bad look numbers wise because these things do happen, unfortunately.
That kid from Pascack Valley has no class. He commits, and then about a week later, he decommits. Get lost. I didn't like Pascack Valley when I was in Bergen Catholic, and I like him even less now because this guy.
Are you talking
about
Adam?
Wasn't his name Adam?
Yeah.
Now that really is unacceptable. I mean, boy,
hey, you said some choice things about him, man. I think you better watch your back.
Yeah, I'm scared. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wish him the best of luck for his future in his life because I think he and other people know that, we get a little bit sarcastic and have some humor on the show, but we wish the best for every player.
Of course.
And we hope that they become successful people in their life.
For sure. So next piece of news I have is depressing, but it's not going to send me into a tirade like that one.
It's thunderstorming outside. All you have is bad news.
It's unfortunate, right? This whole summer is raining every day. But
what's up?
Next piece of news. Linebacker Sam Peloff announces his medical retirement from football. He was a redshirt freshman from Wisconsin, former number 8 overall prospect in Wisconsin, actually, by 247 Sports and ESPN. He was on the end of our depth chart, but he was an underclassman. He was bound to see time eventually.
Never heard of him. I have heard of Madison, Wisconsin, though. I've been there a couple of times. Very nice place, but never heard of him. Wish him the best. And what I will say is this: probably made a wise choice electing medical retirement because, the only thing you really have in life is your health, and you don't want to take risks with it. So if there was a risk there, he made a wise decision, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, let me pull up some more information on that because I actually didn't really get enough information on it. Let's see. He plans to pursue a career revolving around strength and conditioning, so it looks like he still wants to use his body, just not in football.
And he'll probably be very successful at doing that while protecting his health. So although it's regretful that he can't continue to play, he's going to be able to contribute in ways that are going to be meaningful.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing the injury that caused retirement. Maybe it was just he came to that decision. But yeah, wish him the best moving forward. No hard feelings. And that's all I got for my pick updates. So yeah, let's see. What do you have to say, Mr.
Pit Snipe Husker? Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I've seen him on other shows. Great commentator, really good person. So let's look at this comment here. It's hard to be picky about capable players in this area. Fans, even in Jersey, expect wins now, not later. That's very true. Lord help Shiano hold back that tide. Rules trying as well. Culture development. Yeah, that's a great comment. Everybody wants to win right now, but there's not a lot of people who are willing to do the things you need to do to actually win. And that's why culture is so important. That's why coddling players is so harmful. That's why having old school traditional values is what gets people not only to hold themselves accountable, but to develop the kind of self-awareness, and emotional maturity that allows them to succeed during times when they face adversity, respond well when they face failure, because we need players who, when it's in the fourth quarter and, Illinois is going for a 2-point conversion in overtime to win the game, they get the stop because everything they've done up to this point has trained them to be successful.
Yeah, and, I understand why players are kind of not coddled. I would never want a player to be coddled on my team. But these guys, 90+% of them are trying to make the NFL. And so if they're riding the bench, they can't make the NFL. That's the unfortunate side of it, is they have bigger goals in mind than college.
Yeah, and when I say you shouldn't coddle players, what I mean is, that doesn't mean that you don't show them empathy and compassion and support. You do. But if you really care about helping a player or any person, you have to sometimes do things that they don't like. And when you see how they react to that, that tells you the kind of person you're dealing with and whether they have those intangibles.
Absolutely. All right. So next segment I have here.
Math drills.
Oh, yeah. Next segment
that
I have
here, very, very detrimental, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's about College Football 26. The video game has come out. It's been about a week now, maybe a little less. And so I wanted to review some of our player ratings and go over surprises, what we expected, so on and so forth. So let's go by position. So number one, first position, quarterback.
Would you have Ethan Cali-Kmanis?
You said that they are not the lowest rated team.
No, Rutgers is not the lowest rated team. I'd give that to Purdue. So, quarterback, who do you have at quarterback?
So, Ethan Cali-Kmanis. I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed with this rating. He's an 80 overall. In my opinion, he should be like an 83. And you know what the game is doing is they're saying he has all these weapons, and I'll get into that later when we go over wide receiver and whatnot. But they're basically saying he has all these weapons, and that's why his stats are good. I'm saying no. You can't be a system quarterback. You need to be a good quarterback to put up numbers. And an 80 overall is average, maybe a little above average for a starting quarterback. I'm thinking he's like an 83.
All right, so we've done a couple of shows dedicated exclusively to Ethan Cali-Kmanis. And as we've always said, we're big supporters of him and wish him a great season. He's a player who, cares about the team. He works hard. He's got great talent. One of the things we've identified, though, in analyzing his play is inconsistency, particularly regarding completion percentage and sometimes in the pocket, making throws that are ill-advised, leading to interceptions. So I think the rating comes from the inconsistency factor, the completion percentage, which at times was below 60% in several games. Is the potential there? Of course it is. Like I said, he's a team player, seems like a great guy, emotionally mature, has the intangibles, has the talent. Can he put it all together? Let's hope so. And we're going to see that very quickly when they face the Hawkeyes of Iowa in week 4.
I think that what you say is correct, but I think that at his peak, because this game does updates year-round, so I think at his peak he could reach up to an 86.
I think he possibly could, but let's again look at Rutgers' offense. They are a run-first team. They got to win in the trenches and establish a run game. And they have with C.J. Campbell and, Jashawn Benjamin, Antoine Raymond, they have a deep and talented running back room.
Yeah.
The key to Ethan's success is going to be if they can keep defenses honest with the run games and set him up for play action. And I think if they can do that, you're going to see an improved Ethan Cali-Kmanis and an offense that's going to be difficult to stop.
Yeah, for sure. The other quarterback, and also Ignacio, I completely agree. Granted, this is only the third rendition, I believe, of college football video games, because there was College Football 25, and then before that, it was like discontinued from 2006 until then. So I'm happy the game is back. I'll be playing it a lot. I'll do a dynasty mode with Rutgers. I just don't agree with that rating. But with AJ Suris, he's a 72 overall. In my opinion, I would give him a 74, but I also understand that the game has no playing time to work off of. So 72 is fine. It's a solid backup quarterback rating.
Yeah, I don't place really any stock in that rating. He just hasn't had enough playing time, so it's really difficult to quantify. I think Serace, though, from what he did in the spring game, showed that he has some great potential, and definitely going to look forward to seeing him in what I think is going to be a magical 2026 season.
Absolutely, and I think the running back room is going to surprise you with these ratings because one, they're so close, and then two, the order might surprise you. So we have C.J. Campbell, 82 overall, Antoine Raymond, 81 overall, Samuel Brown, the fifth, 80 overall, Jashawn Benjamin, 78, Ed Gurrier, 72. So it has Samuel Brown above Jashawn Benjamin, just like the depth chart. We must be missing something with the difference between Brown and Benjamin because we've both raved about how good Benjamin is and not given Brown enough respect.
Yeah, I guess what we're missing is we just don't, we're not there during the practices. We don't see what's going on the field. But that does surprise me a bit. It doesn't surprise me, however, that C.J. Campbell and Antoine Raymond are essentially identical. I've thought for a while now that C.J. Campbell is not necessarily the outright first back. I think the two of them complement each other and are going to share that role.
But it's basically saying that Samuel Brown is in the same realm of talent, and Jashawn Benjamin is only like maybe a class behind them.
Yeah, and you know what? When I look at those ratings, I also think about context. I mean, in different running situations, different backs are going to have different attributes that are going to help them to contribute ideally to the team's success. So what it tells me is that they're all pretty much comparable, but all are serviceable, and that's a good sign.
So do you think that the ratings themselves are fair, like CJ and Antoine being like low 80s, Samuel being an 80? I think Jashawn Benjamin should be an 80 if Samuel Brown's an 80.
Well, I'm not sure what criteria they use to, produce these rankings. And I just don't know who's actually doing it. So I kind of take them with a grain of salt, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Well, wide receiver. It's funny. We've only had one guy on this show, and that guy just happens to be the highest overall rating in
Sheffield. Sorry, I stole your moment.
No, that's cool. He's the highest rated guy in our program, and he can make the show. So fellas that are rated below him and happen to be on that Rutgers team, you're not too big for us. You're welcome on the show anytime, but you don't have to little bro us.
Listen, DT, you were on the show. We appreciate it. You heard it here first. He's going to catch for over 1,000 yards. He's going to have over 10 receiving touchdowns. He's going to be an absolute stud for Rutgers. He's going to enhance Ethan Kelly-Kamanis. And we are going to go to the Iowa game and see him catch the game-winning score to beat the Hawkeyes 17-13.
Well, that implies that it'll be close until the end. And against that defense, that might be a predicament I'm not wanting to be in.
Yeah. Ignacio is 100% right. We have to win that game. Gabe, we have to win that game.
Yeah. We have to win the game.
And we're going to be there because that game is exactly like the Nebraska game from last year. We lost 14-7 in Lincoln. Now we got the Hawkeyes in Piscataway with a stingy defense, but an offense that never really overwhelms anybody. That's going to be where we see has Rutgers improved.
Yeah, fair enough. And I want to go over some other wide receivers because to me, this is surprising. Ian Strong is an 85 overall. KJ Duff is a 77 overall. To me, they're very comparable. They're very similar in talent. When given the same opportunity, they will produce similar results. Here's what I think, right? Ian Strong at an 85 surprised me. I thought he would be like an 83-ish, maybe an 82. KJ Duff surprised me at being a 77. I thought he'd be like an 80. The gap between them feels smaller than the rating suggests. To me, if Strong is an 85, Duff should be an 82. If Duff is a 77, Strong should be like a 79. So I think the gap's a little too big there between those two.
What's DT's rank?
90.
90. Okay. So he's 90. Strong's 85. This is why I said I don't put too much stock in these rankings. And the reason is because I cannot see the type of disparity between Duff and Strong that would justify 85 of 77.
Exactly. That's my whole talking point, is that they're very similar play style, and with the same opportunity, they would produce damn near the same result.
I completely agree with you. And what about Ben Black?
So Ben Black is 73. Fama Touré is a 69. I'm a little disappointed with Touré being a 69, but he is injured for the year, so he won't get his chance to improve his rating, unfortunately. I would give – so if Ben Black is a 73, I would give Touré like a 72. And Ben Black at a 73 feels fair just because he's the fourth option. But if he has an okay year, if there's an unfortunate injury or two, he can shoot up to an 80.
I agree.
Cool. And last guy, Dylan Braithwaite, 65 overall. Hopefully we don't have to hear his name, because if we do, that means there's injuries. Scholarship player not in the game. Vernon Allen III, who had the tremendous spring game. Michael Thomas III, who had he has his spot pretty much locked on the roster. So that's it for wide receivers. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think we have a deep wide receiving core that's led by DT Sheffield. And again, I think it's going to come down to the run game. The ability of us to have a balanced offense and is really going to determine whether we're successful. And it starts in the trenches with that offensive line. But I'm confident in the receiving core and the running back. The running back room is impressive. So we've got the ingredients for a great offense. Whether we execute that is going to be, time will tell.
Yeah. So the last two categories for offense I wanted to talk about are tight ends for the players, but then I want to talk about the offensive line as a unit. But for tight ends, this is interesting to me because Kenny Fletcher is listed as our starting tight end on several depth charts. But I told you I've had faith in Colin Weaver. Colin Weaver is rated an 84 overall. Kenny Fletcher is a 79 overall. And then Victor Konopka is a 74 overall. And I think I might have said – no, I did say 79. So, yeah, that's the three, the big three for tight ends. Colin Weaver is 5 overalls better than Kenny Fletcher, and yet he's second on the depth chart. Do you think that's going to stay, and do you think the ratings are correct, or do you think there's a little too much disparity? What do you think?
I think the ratings are roughly accurate, but I still think there's a lot of competition still to be had on the practice field. But I do think Colin Weaver has the potential to be a very effective tight end and really add to that offense, as a receiver in certain situations. And he's also a very good blocker. So I think that he's going to be probably tight end number one. But, it's hard to say at this point. It really is premature. But I do think whoever starts, we're going to have a solid tight end to round out the offense.
I hear you. And, Tom, I'll have to either ask him in person or wait until a game. Maybe I'm wrong on that. And if so, I'll stand corrected. Yeah, I guess that's it for the tight ends. The offensive line, I'll run through it quick, but I want to talk about it as a unit because we have a good offensive line, and I don't think the ratings give it enough justice. Gus Zelinskas is an 86 overall. Solid. Perfect. I would say that they're even giving him as much credit as I would. 86 is solid. Left guard Brian Felter. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said.
Okay. Brian Felter, 79 overall. Fine. Here's where it gets interesting. Kwabena Asamoah, 77 overall. But he's on every Big Ten preseason watch list?
Yeah, that surprises me.
Yeah, that should be at least an 80 in my opinion.
I agree.
I mean, if you're on preseason watch lists this year and you're a finalist last year, you should be a little higher than a 77.
I agree 100%.
Tyler Needham, who I've said I believe can be the best lineman of the bunch, is 78 overall. I think he could be around an 82 by the end of the year.
Yeah, these rankings don't seem to do justice to the offensive line. But, when it comes to the success of the offensive line, what it's really going to come down to, in my view, is the chemistry between the unit and the players' ability to, just know each other so well they can predict each other's moves, communicate effectively, and really combine size with speed and to be a formidable unit. And again, it comes down to those intangibles. How are they functioning as a unit? And we will see that in about a month and a half.
Absolutely. And the last guy on the list, Taj White. This one's a stinker, 73 overall. And John Stone, or Dante Chin, rather, who's the second in line left guard, is a 75. So they have him as being better than Taj White.
Yeah, again, the rankings to me are a bit suspect. You got somebody on all the Big Ten watch lists ranked 77?
Yeah, which is basically saying he's average, if that.
Well, Rutgers offense, the success of Rutgers offense is going to depend on that offensive line. And, we have to run the ball. We have to win in the trenches. And we have to win in the trenches, on third down, on fourth down, in the fourth quarter. And if we can do that with a running back room that's going to be fresh throughout the whole game, since we've got 3, even 4 serviceable backs, the running game sets up success for Rutgers this season.
Absolutely. And now let's flip sides of scrimmage. Let's talk about that defense. The first unit to talk about is the defensive ends, and you're going to love this. Ready? Eric O'Neill, 89. Bradley Weaver, 87. Boom.
Nice.
That's a core right there. That's a 1-2 punch. Left and right ends, 89, 87 overall. Potentially Eric O'Neill can be in the 90s too.
Yeah. The success of Rutgers this year is the offensive and defensive lines. We saw the defensive line last year really affected by injuries, and that's a mitigating factor. But can they pressure the quarterback and disrupt the quarterback's timing? I'm not looking for sacks. I'm looking at, can you upset the quarterback's timing such that we're going to be able to drop 7, drop 8, and maybe still get pressure. That's going to be so critical because we can't be using blitzes to get pressure. We can't be leaving our secondary vulnerable if we can't get to the quarterback. So the transfers that we've got from South Florida, James Madison, the returning starters, this defensive line is much improved, and I think could be the strongest unit on the team.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I know that we're not talking about sacks being the priority. I still think Eric O'Neill can get like 15 of them things.
I think he's going to have a great year. But what matters to me is, are we throwing the quarterback off in terms of his timing? If we can do that, that's when you create turnovers. That's when you get third down stops. That's when you control time and possession. And that's when you really alter the other team's game plan. Getting pressure. Just like, remember the Eagles in the Super Bowl getting at Mahomes with 4 all game.
Yep.
There you go.
And some other notables on the defensive end. Jordan Walker, 79 overall. I think that's about fair after starting all of last year. The front 7 wasn't really, outside of Mo Toure, wasn't very. It wasn't really the focus of the defense. So I think
how's Miami, Mo?
Oh God. Jordan Walker, 79. Jordan Thompson, 75. DJ Allen, 74. And Jabril Abdul-Rahman is not in the game because he's a scholarship player. He'll be in the next update.
Okay.
Anything stand out there?
So what stands out to me from the ratings is that the defensive line is perceived as mediocre. And I think that's underestimating how they will perform. Now, how are they going to perform against Iowa, Oregon, Penn State, Illinois, Washington? I don't know, and it goes back to a question I raised a few shows ago, which is, these transfers at James Madison have had a great deal of success, but the competition they're playing against is not as high. Can their success translate when they're facing Ohio State and Oregon and Penn State? I think that the rankings reflect some degree of skepticism and also some speculation that might not be the case.
Well, I mean, the front 2 are 2 of our 3 best players on the team, according to this. It's just the depth. Jordan Walker started all year. He didn't crack 80. I get it. Thompson is perceived as a little less than average. Like, he's not starting. DJ Allen, 74 is fine for a backup. So that's the defensive line, the defensive ends rather, but the defensive tackles. Doug Blue Eli, who you've paired him and Eric O'Neill. talking about the defensive line, I've noticed, but he's only ranked a 78 in this.
Yeah, rankings are very subjective. I mean, let's look at the start of the 2024 season. Did anybody see Boise State, SMU,
Indiana,
Arizona State, Indiana? Yeah.
yeah,
So I wouldn't look at them as definitive. I would look at them as a general guide. But ultimately, I think what they don't account for is the intangibles in the players, the system they're in, and the commitment and determination they have. And I think Rutgers is coming into this season with a chip on their shoulder because I think they feel like last season they had a golden opportunity and didn't achieve what they wanted to achieve. I think they're coming into this season pissed off, hungry, and if they can unite around common values and truly be a team, they can be competitive with anyone.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ratings come down to not understanding talent versus opportunity. We talk about Ben Black being a 73. Fama Toure, who showed he won I forget what the award was called. He won an offseason award and then he just got injured days later, so now he's stuck at a 69. Another guy on the defensive tackles, or two of them I want to talk about actually. Well, really three. Keyshawn Griffin, Oliver Biot, I think. Daryl Denegohi, they're all 75 overall. So that's a little below average, maybe average on the dot.
Well, I think
76.
There's no criteria by which to really rank these guys. All they're going on is their past play in a different conference. It's very hard to extrapolate and project how they're going to do. So that's why I think the rankings are subjective. I mean, I think of rankings this way. When you're looking at college baseball prospects, if you've got a kid throwing 99 miles an hour in high school, that kid's going to be ranked as a really high prospect. What the ranking doesn't tell you is if he can throw strikes, if he can place the ball. So it gives
pressure. It doesn't count into factor the pressure either.
No, it doesn't exactly, and that's where the intangibles come in. But I also think where rankings are the most valuable is at the margins. When you see a player ranked in the 90s or in the 50s or something, that's telling you this person is a star, this person is not on the level. But when you get into the middle, that's where I think a lot of other factors that can't be quantified make all the difference.
Yeah, and after this, I'll talk about we'll talk about the top 10-ish player ratings nationally, just so you can get an idea of sort of how the rankings play into effect when it comes down to player by player basis. So, I mean, that's it for the D tackles, the DTs, no Sheffield, just the DTs. Linebackers. So Daryl Jabome, 83 overall. I respect it. Here's where I'm a little confused. Moses Walker, 76 overall. I feel like he should be like a 79. Again, I know we're biased because we're Rutgers fans. We're saying this guy should be higher. I've said a couple of guys I was surprised about, right? I've said Ian Strong surprised me. I've said Samuel Brown surprised me. I've talked about I talked about Dante Chin. So I'm not just saying guys that are too low. I'm saying some guys are too high for what they've produced so far. But if I circle back to the linebackers, Moses Walker, I think he is criminally underrated in this rating.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily biased. I think it's probably because the players much more in depth than the people doing the rankings. So you have a better feel on their trajectory. And I do agree with you that some of the rankings seem a bit low.
I think these guys, the rankings, they sort of tie into how they are currently, where we see the progression that they make and the trajectory they're on. So maybe that's why our rankings feel a little different. I don't think these rankings are horrible. I just think they're a little tweaked.
I kind of look at it in terms of a standard deviation. So it's like if I see somebody with a 79 versus an 81 or 77 versus 79, I'm going to say they're relatively, interchangeable. If I see someone with a 75 versus an 85, that's going to make the difference. So when I look at the rankings, I'm looking for more disparity as a better way to measure, the difference in talent.
Yeah. And I know I've said that the rankings aren't so far off. Sam Robinson at a 68 is a miserable ranking. He should be a 74 at least. He's our primary middle linebacker. If Jabom goes down, Sam Robinson's going to be damn near the captain of the defense. I mean, that's what it comes down to with the middle linebacker position. We saw it from Motoré. We're going to see it from Jabom this year. He's on the preseason Big Ten watch list.
Yeah, he's a 74, 75, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Cornerbacks. Here's where it gets interesting because we have talked about how Cam Miller is going to have this island, right? And no one's going to want to throw his direction. He's not even the best ranked cornerback on the team. Bo Masco is an 83. Wow. Cam Miller is an 82.
Well, I take that as good news because Cam Miller, he's an impressive player, came here from Penn State. If they're seeing that there's another cornerback that's even better, that means that our pass defense is going to be very formidable this year. And I think, with Jet Elad there too at safety, we have the ingredients. Like on the offensive side, we have the ingredients on the defensive side. Can they put it all together and coalesce into a unit that is a true team and that can function well together? That's what we're going to see. The spring game was not necessarily a very good portrayal of that defense, but that's the spring game, and they learn from it, they grow from it, and we're going to see what's going to happen in the fall. But I think, when it comes to Rutgers, the potential to be great is there. The margin of error is much lower than it is with an Ohio State or an Oregon. So things are going to have to go Rutgers' way. And that means avoiding injuries and winning the time possession, turnover battles. If all those things come together, we could be looking at an 8-win season. If they don't come together, we could be looking at a 5-win season.
Yeah, for sure. So I talked about Bo and Cam. Jacoby Henderson, 78 overall. Maybe I would say 79 or 80 if I was nitpicking, but that's fine, I guess. Shady Salam, 75, which for CB4 is fine. And yeah, so safeties. Speaking of Jet Elad is an 85 overall, which that's a huge win considering we didn't even know if he would be eligible. I'll take an 8. And if they see him as an 85 overall, and you've been raving about him since before the eligibility case. You've been on him before I knew who he was.
He's going to be a stud, and the ranking of 85 is justified. And when you have two corners that are rated 83 and 82 respectively with a safety rated 85, that's telling you something. You look back at the defensive line, though, they're in the 70s. So, again, that's where the rubber is going to meet the road.
Can't get injured. If Eric O'Neill gets injured, Bradley Weaver gets injured, things look a lot different. Definitely more with Eric O'Neill because Jordan Thompson is inferior to Jordan Walker play-wise so far. Right. But, yeah, that D-line cannot get injured. But the safeties, our secondary is looking pretty solid. Kaj Sanders, though, I think they disrespected him a bit at a 76.
Yeah, that's too low. I would give him more like a 79.
Yeah, I was going to say 78, 79. Timmy Ward, 71, which is fine for I would consider him the backup for safety overall. Maybe you could say Michael Robinson is. And specialists, that's the last position we're at. They got Jai Patel, 75 overall, which I'll take because, like I have said in shows prior, it's not a great sign that we have 3 different guys who kick the football starting instead of 1 or 2 guys. I'll take a 75 overall kicker if we're taking what I said into consideration. Jacob Anderson, punter, 75. And kicker Riley McCann, who will be our kickoff guy, 71 overall.
We need to have a great field goal kicker. That's what worries me because –
well, that's Kai Patel, hopefully. Or Jai Patel, sorry.
Yeah, he's got to have a great year because I think a number of these games are going to come down to one score. And we can't give away points. And so hopefully he has a great year. And, I think right now he's serviceable, but I think he needs to be better and more consistent.
Yeah. And that is it with the ratings.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing everyone's comments about these ratings and about the season as it approaches in a little under 6 weeks. So, Gabe, any final thoughts on the state of Rutgers football?
Well, we've talked about ratings, and I'm happy with most of it, but overall, those are just numbers. They don't take into account intangibles.
Yeah, I think intangibles are everything. And I think we saw that on full display last year. Sure, we had injuries. Sure, there was not enough depth. But building a culture that prepares players to succeed under adverse, high pressure conditions, to have that emotional maturity, and to be able to do the little things right consistently. I think the key to Rutgers this year is culture, consistency, and cohesiveness, especially
Three C's.
three
I like it.
C's. Culture, consistency, and cohesiveness, especially on the offense and defensive lines.
And actually, we have I would say surprise, but I'm kind of giving it away if that's okay. Next week and moving forward, either next week or the week following and moving forward, we're getting a third co-host. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes, we're getting a third co-host at the growing Rutgers at the Voice of College Football channel, and we're going to welcome him next week and the great contributions he's going to make to this channel. And as always, we welcome your comments. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to have a special show with a new co-host next week, and we're looking forward to getting some players on here. And, of course, to a season that hopefully is going to be one to remember. So, thanks to everyone for being here, and we will see you when? Next Monday, 7 p.m. Go Scarlet Knights.
Absolutely. Adios.